Now, here's the thing, man. Diddy's trial is coming to a close. I think everything that they do is going to come down to the closing statements because they've presented all this evidence. They presented all these people testifying. There's a couple more people that have to testify. I think they're going to close it off with some of the bigger names. I think Christina Karam, who has been alleged to be and been talked about and everybody testifying is bringing her name up, that she was the ringleader of a lot of this stuff. And she was Diddy's right-hand woman, according to Diddy. That's his quote. I think she's going to testify, but we're going to have to wait and see because there was a delay today in court. As we speak, another juror has some issues. There was a jury member that was kicked out of the jury for lying on during his qualification process. And so now the articles are saying that there's another juror that got sick. He was on his way to the Manhattan courthouse and began experiencing vertigo. So the juror's partner contacted the court. The federal judge said that he doesn't see a way that the proceedings could go on today because this was a regular juror. The prosecution asked if this was a permanent or temporary situation. The judge said he will ask the deputy to confirm, but he believes it was a sudden thing. And so the government did note that there was no reason to excuse the juror. And so that's kind of the reason for the delay. Today they said that they're going to pick up the trial on Friday. But we did get a couple updates that were significant on what's going to happen next in the trial. It was reported previously that Diddy was going to be testifying in his own trial because his lawyer said, quote, they couldn't keep him off the stand. Now it's being reported that he may not be testifying at his trial. And the report said prosecutors have outlined what they described as a year-long criminal enterprise that could put the music mogul behind bars for life, alleging that Diddy used his power to influence, traffic women, silence accusers, and shield himself from accountability. Now, the government's case had all this graphic testimony and a detailed timeline of alleged events. The defense has yet to present a full argument. Diddy's team hasn't presented a full argument, rather. And one key question that that was asked is whether Diddy would testify himself. Now that has been answered. Multiple sources have confirmed that Diddy will not take the stand in his own defense, despite the high-profile nature of the proceedings and the serious charges that he faces. Now, this decision comes as both legal teams prepare for what will be the final phase of the trial that has gripped the music industry and the public alike. So everybody's preparing for the final couple weeks of Diddy's trial. And so that was a big thing, because everybody was like, bro, if you take the stand, it almost insinuates a Hail Mary. Like you feel like we going down, I might as well tell my story at least and give it a shot. But it seems like that's not the case. So maybe there's been some confidence that's been boosted in this situation. And you guys know, if you haven't been watching the updates, you can go watch the other live streams, and we broke this down every step of the way for the most part, all the most important stuff. Now, here's the part that I thought was extremely interesting. Do you guys remember the guy about a year ago, less than a year ago, last December? He was arrested at the airport, Brendan Paul. And he was called Diddy's drug mule, according to articles. And they said that his charges were dropped. I'm sorry, his charges were dropped last December. He was arrested about a year ago when all the Diddy stuff kicked off. So when Diddy's houses were getting raided, this dude was trying to flee in the airport, and the feds went and rushed him and arrested him and caught him in possession. That it was actually last March. And he had possession of cocaine and marijuana in the airport and all that. He was trafficking. He was getting on a private plane and all that, allegedly. Or reportedly, I should say. Now, his case was formally dismissed in its entirety. I don't know where that happens for anybody. I don't know when the feds send a whole squad to go get somebody from the airport to stop a plane on the runway, catch you with drugs, and then your charges get dismissed. And instantly, when we reported this back then, I said, oh, yeah, he testifying, right? And this dude was called Diddy's drug mule. So it said that he accepted the prosecutor's offer to permit his entry into a diversion program. After completion, the case against him will be dismissed in its entirety. So basically, he took a drug treatment program and got probation for a federal crime. So I said, okay, yeah, he testifying. Now, the latest update on the Diddy trial is it's being reported that this dude, Brendan Paul, will be testifying. He's the next person to testify. So here it is right here. Yesterday at 6:16 a.m., it said Brendan Paul, who worked for Combs, took the stand to invoke his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination before taking the stand later on today. He was granted an immunity order, which requires him to tell the truth and protect himself from prosecution. And then after that, the juror got sick. So Brendan Paul is going to be testifying this Friday at the next court hearing. You know I'm going to be here to report and see what he had to say about all that. They're still under the testimony of a special agent from the U.S. Attorney's Office who's on the witness stand right now. But I'm really interested to see what Brendan Paul says about Diddy in this situation, because it's going to be telling, on what he experienced, what he's seen, and different things like that. So he is going to testify. That's confirmed by the court, by the live updates from the court. We're going to see what this dude has to say. I think that these closing weeks for Diddy's trial is going to be very, very important and impactful. And I think that it's going to be telling to see what the closest people, like the big names, are going to say. The Brendan Paul, the Christina Combs. We heard from all the other assistants. We heard, and I believe that Diddy is going to be convicted. If nothing else, they're going to convict him because the jury just looks at him like a POS, piece of, if you don't know what that means. So I think, but I also think that he is guilty of the racketeering, which is using a criminal or using a legitimate enterprise to fund a criminal enterprise. I think the government has proved that case. I think it's just going to come down to closing statements to remind the jury of, hey, along the way, you heard this. That's a crime because of this. Along the way, you heard that. For example, hey, along the way, you heard that he used he used company employees and company vehicles and company credit cards to go do things like blow up Kid Cudi's car, or home invasions at Kid Cudi's house, or he for the trafficking charges. You heard 6 prostitutes come on the stand and testify, saying that, yes, Diddy paid me and flew me from this state to that state for the purpose of engaging in prostitution. That's the legal definition of trafficking. So I think all those type of closing statements are what's going to get Diddy convicted. I think it's a matter of how much time he's going to do. Not if he's going to. I think he's going to definitely do time. I'm just curious to see how much, and to see what these last few people, even the bribery charges that he's facing. When you got the hotel workers from the Cassie video, the one where he was beating her up, the hotel worker saying, yes, Diddy paid me $100,000. Got on the stand and said, yes, he paid me $100,000 to cover everything up. And then you got 5 or 6 assistants saying, yes, Diddy paid me this much a year to cover everything up. You're using your legal enterprise to fund a criminal enterprise. That's a crime. I don't know that he can beat that. It's too many people getting immunity, too many people testifying. A lot of people are saying, well, why is he in a RICO by himself? How's that possible? Everybody's getting immunity. He's not in it by himself, but all the accomplices are testifying against him, so they don't go to jail. And Brendan Paul is the latest one that has gotten immunity. And seems like he's going to be on the stand testifying and pretty much just exposing what everybody wants to know what's going on. So we'll see.